Loaded show today, Dub Nation, on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. Today, we're talking about Steph Curry. He spoke to many outlets talking about his Golden State Warriors future and what happens for him beyond his time in the Bay Area. Also, Steph, does he want to play with LeBron James? I know we've talked about that a couple times on the channel, but there's some new quotes that might suggest that Steph wants to team up with the King. And is a big move coming for the Warriors? Are they still trying to make a big swing deal to improve this roster for the 2024-25 season? We'll dive into all of that and much more on today's show. But before we do, make sure you're subscribed to the channel to never miss a beat on your Golden State Warriors all season long. Training camp is less than a month away, and we're in a little bit of a challenge here. With our friends or foes over at Knicks Now, they said we couldn't gain 50 subs on today's video. I hear Marshall Green yapping in the studio behind me, and I don't want to hear any more of that. So what you guys got to do is go down below, hit that red sub button, and show me that we can beat Knicks Now, and tell them that we are the best channel here on NBA Chat Sports. So Stephen Curry has gone on a little bit of a media tour of sorts. He spoke out to many outlets, The Athletic, CNBC, People, and he talked about his Golden State Warriors future and addressing the upcoming season and the challenges that are presented ahead of him and, what could eventually happen after his days in the NBA. So let's start with this from The Athletic. What Steph Curry told one of their reporters here. He said, "It's not different from my perspective, talking about this upcoming season." He said, "You have an appreciation for the position and the opportunity and the support from people who've been with you on the journey. I've always said I wanted to play for one team my whole career, so it's good to get the extension question out of the way and give me complete focus on basketball into the season." So, obviously, Steph seems to be prioritizing hoops right now. Thank the Lord. He signed the one-year, $62.5 million contract extension that keeps him in town until after the 2026-27 NBA season, giving him 3 more years as a 100% Golden State Warrior. Thank the Lord. And Steph went on to say later on during these quotes to The Athletic that it's still about winning. His priority is still raising a banner for the Golden State Warriors, securing his 5th NBA championship. And his biggest priority is to put a competitor out on the floor that can contend with some of the best teams in the Western Conference. And as far as what that team will look like for Golden State, Stephen Curry will still be at the helm. Stephen Curry will have, in my opinion, arguably the biggest responsibility of his entire career this upcoming season. Why? He lost Klay Thompson. I mean, as far as players who have complemented a superstar throughout NBA history, Klay Thompson is at the top in terms of being able to have complementary play next to a player like Stephen Curry. I mean, as far as what Steph does on a nightly basis, we don't have to gloss over the numbers. He's giving you MVP level stuff every night while willing this team to victory. He was the NBA's clutch player of the year last year. He absolutely took this team over the top when they needed to. And as far as the roster that's set in place right now, I mean, yes, you lost Klay, but you did upgrade a little. You upgraded a little bit in the depth in spots like Buddy Hield, coming along for that bench shooting role. DeAnthony Melton coming in for that energy spark off the bench as well. And you bring in Kyle Anderson to kind of let Draymond Green have a little bit of rest. So the team isn't terrible around Stephen Curry, but there isn't a definitive number 2 option next to him. So what I'm saying here is that Stephen Curry is going to still have to carry a huge offensive load. Defenses are still going to gravitate towards him more than any other player on this Warriors roster because look at what they're dealing with here. I mean, is Andrew Wiggins going to return to his 2022 championship run form? I don't think so. Is Buddy Hield going to turn back the clock and be the 20-point-per-game scorer that he was when he was on a mid 32 and 50 Kings team back in the day? Probably not. Is Jonathan Kuminga going to take the big jump that we were all asking him to take as a shot creator, as a defender, as a jump shooter? That's yet to be seen. He's been working out all summer long, and I'm excited to see what we get from Jonathan Kuminga. But, again, we haven't seen him be that elite secondary scoring option just yet. He's only 22, so I'm giving him a little bit of a pass. But we need to see that big jump come this season. And then Brandon Podziemski, who it seems like the Warriors have put pushed their chips into the middle on and said, hey, we're giving you this opportunity. Don't screw it up because you're going to be taking a lot of shots this year. They said they want Podziemski to be taking 8 to 10 threes a game. And if those don't go in, Stephen Curry is going to have a lot more on his plate than originally thought. But as far as what happens for Stephen Curry after his days as a Golden State Warrior, after his days in the NBA, he said he sees a future as a potential owner of an NBA franchise. Now, he's in a good position to do so, as he's going to be gaining some of the most money on NBA contracts in history of basketball. So this is a definite pathway for Steph to go on and continue participation in the professional basketball world once his career is up. Here's what he had to say to CNBC about potentially making that jump to an owner. He said, "For me, that's definitely on the table. I think I could do a pretty good job of helping sustain how great the NBA is right now and what it takes to run a championship organization. I know I have a lot more to accomplish on the court before I move into other roles in the league." So, yes, this is a quick hitter. We're talking about Steph wanting to be an owner, but this is way down the line. He still has a ton of accomplishments, a ton of, I guess, accolades to earn in the rest of his NBA career. I mean, as far as accolades go, he's got as good of any player in history, but he wants more. He wants to win more. He wants to be known as the definitive best point guard of all time. He wants to be known as the definitive best player of this new generation. And I think he can do so, but like I said before, the roster might not be there to get him to do it. But I will say, I'm so thankful for Stephen Curry. I'm thankful for what he has done for this organization. I'm thankful for what he's going to do for this organization in the 2024-25 season and beyond. So if you are as well, hit that thumbs up icon on today's video so you can show your appreciation, show your some support for Stephen Curry for everything he's done and will continue to do for your Golden State Warriors. And next, we're gonna keep on the Steph train. But this time, we're involving another pillar of NBA history, LeBron James. Does Stephen Curry want to play with LeBron? We're going to unpack all of that in just a moment. Before we do, I got to get you guys hooked up with the best daily fantasy sports app in the land, and that is Prize Picks. You can get $50 when you just play $5 on Prize Picks. You don't even have to win that $5 entry. You get $50 instantly once you place a $5 entry. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you guys got to do is pick a 2 to 6 player lineup and just pick more or less on those stat projections of each player and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Caleb Williams, football season, it's on the horizon. Week 1, this week. And guess what? They're offering you a major deal. 99% off. How could you not like 99% off? Caleb Williams, more than half a passing yard. Make sure you guys get that. That's a free entry on Prize Picks. It's a free square. Why would you not take it? And then, as far as the San Francisco 49ers go, those Bay Area guys, they're playing on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets, matching up with their old defense coordinator, Robert Saleh. I think it's going to be a real grinded-out game. But as far as Brandon Ayuk goes, he just got paid, and he needs to produce. So give me more than 54.5 receiving yards for him. And like I said, I think it's going to be a grit and grind, grinded-out matchup between the 49ers and the Jets. So give me Jake Moody more than 1.5 field goals made. You can roll with my picks. You can fade my picks. Just make sure you do it over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for $50 when you deposit $5 on a first-time entry. So, like I said, deposit $5, make $50. Don't even have to win. Just download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to make that deal happen. Prize Picks, run your game. So here's the quote from Stephen Curry about teaming up potentially with LeBron James, or just how both of their careers are going to go in the twilight. He said all the battles we've had on the court and the back and forth, the fact that we actually got to be teammates on the Olympic team, not just in any game like an all-star game or whatever, but in high-stakes basketball with a lot on the line. I think there's a deepened respect and friendship there. Hopefully, there will be more experiences in the future, even if we're teammates or not. Still have to compete against each other until it's all over. That's music to my ears, honestly. I am #1 on the fan club of Steph and LeBron should play together. And Steph Curry is a part of that club as well, I believe. He said they motivated each other when they played in the 2024 Paris Olympics. And they absolutely balled out. We know Steph willed Team USA to the gold in the France gold medal game over those last 3 minutes of play. He was absolutely electric. But just look at what these two guys did. And don't pay attention to the points per game numbers. It's a slower game. There's a ton of more talent on the court, especially for Team USA, who's got all-star, all-NBA level players to move the ball around to. But look at these two guys, nearly notching over 14 points a night in the 6 Paris games. But LeBron, I mean, putting up the stat line that you think LeBron would put up, right? 7 boards, 8.5 assists, and getting whatever he wanted at the rim. 66% from the field. Steph, I mean, his efficiency was out of this world, especially over those final 2 games where he shot like 60% from 3. But over the 6 games, he was shooting nearly 50% from 3. Steph was unconscious, and LeBron was a big reason for why these two players meshed so well together on the Olympic stage. And why do I bring this up, right? Why does Steph Curry say, even if we're teammates or not? There's an opportunity. There is a very, very small window in 2026. Like I said, Stephen Curry signed that 1 year, $62.6 million extension for the 2026-27 season. LeBron's contract ends after the 25-26 season. Could it happen? I'm a big fan of it, okay? Listen, as far as the prospect of LeBron and Steph in these last couple years of their careers, whether it's teammates or not, you don't love basketball if you don't love seeing these two guys compete against each other, sharing the floor together, as teammates or not. I mean, when the Warriors and the Lakers match up, it's the most watched game of the week. It's not even a debate. So when Steph and LeBron are on the court, must-see TV. Everybody knows it. So for any of you Warriors fans who are kind of on the fence about this possibility, you should be extraordinarily happy that there is even a non-zero chance, because I'm putting it at a 5% chance that LeBron and Steph end up being teammates in Golden State in a couple seasons. Now, like I said, we're in September right now. We're a month out of training camp. This is as dog days of the NBA offseason as you can get. So we're talking about something that could happen 2 years down the line. But hey, Steph's making comments about it now, so I'm going to make reactions. I'm going to make videos about it now. I want to see Steph and LeBron team up. What about you guys, though? What say you? Do you want LeBron and Steph to team up? Let me know down in the comments section. Type Y for yes, type N for no. But if you are typing your N's for no, let me know why you don't want to see this epic duo become teammates in the Bay Area. And last on today's show, is a big move coming? I know. We've been talking about this all summer long. We've been trying to make a big swing deal to improve this Warriors roster for this season and the last couple of years that Steph Curry is still playing at a top 5 MVP level. According to Steve Bulpett of Heavy.com, Golden State still wants to make that move. Here's what he had to say. From the talks they've had, or tried to have, it sounds like they want to do something big. Big. But they also don't want to break things up too much. Moving Clay was big for them, but it wasn't as big a trade as they probably wanted it to be. They want to add around Steph and Draymond, but they're finding that's hard to do. I know it's hard to do, especially when, the two players who you deemed a priority this offseason, there are two teams that you were trying to make deal with. They played hardball. It's unfortunate that Utah Jazz didn't want to deal with you. The Clippers didn't want to deal with you. And maybe that's a little bit of resentment due to the winning that Golden State has done over the past couple of years. But now you're left with not really much out there as far as needle movers for this upcoming season. Who is even available right now? I don't think there's many. And I'm going to go through 5 names right here that even I don't think necessarily would put Golden State at the top of the Western Conference. Now, many people think Golden State's team, as of right now, is good enough to compete at the top of the conference. I'm not one of those people. So here are 5 guys who potentially raise the Warriors' ceiling a little bit, but maybe not make them a true championship contender. I just don't think there's anybody crazy available right now that makes them that good. So, first one up, Brandon Ingram. Like I said, Warriors have really not... If they were going to make a trade for Brandon Ingram and this next guy we'll talk about in just a second, they would have already made it. And who's that next guy? Zach LaVine. These guys have been dangled all offseason long. Their two teams don't want them anymore, but they cost a ton of money. And I think that's why Golden State really doesn't want... Zach LaVine makes nearly $60 million a year. That's unbelievable. Brandon Ingram is going to be up for a $50 million plus a year contract next offseason. I don't want to trade for Brandon Ingram if it's going to be for 1 year and then he's going to demand $50 million and he'll leave if he doesn't get it. I don't want that. So I'm out on these two guys, but again, these are just players that are going to be around the NBA trade rumor mill this upcoming season, in my opinion. And like I said, who could be traded? These two guys are definitely at the top of that list. Third up, Jeremy Grant. I mean, like I said, we made a video on him way back when. You guys seem to be open to the possibility of Jeremy Grant coming to Golden State, but he doesn't really move a needle, doesn't really play defense. I mean, he could score, but he costs a ton of money. He costs like $35+ million a year eventually. So, Jeremy Grant. Next up, Julius Randle. This is a player who I could see raising the ceiling of Golden State, but I don't really think he fits Golden State's real offense. I don't think he fits their system at all. Julius Randle is a back to the basket, pound it, face up player, tunnel vision, doesn't really look for open teammates, is a good facilitator, but not a willing one. So as far as a guy coming to Golden State who would have to basically change his whole play style, and I don't think Julius Randle's really in the business of doing that right now because he cannot work in a movement offense like Golden State runs, then I'm kind of out on Julius Randle as well. And then finally, this one's coming up again recently in some trade rumors, or at least some leaving Miami rumors, and that's Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's the best player on this list, in my opinion. As far as these names you're looking at here, the closest next guy is probably Julius Randle, and he has got far more injury concerns that I'd like to deal with. Jimmy Butler, he 100% raises the ceiling of this team. Is he going to be cheap? Probably not. Pat Riley's a stiff negotiator as well. But as far as guys who I think are going to be around that NBA trade rumor mill during this upcoming season, Jimmy Butler, in my opinion, is the player that raises Golden State's ceiling the most. And the player that they could trade for that would immediately make them a contender in the West. He might be the only name out there, in my opinion. But maybe you guys have a name out there that you think Golden State could go out there and raise their ceiling from. Who raises the ceiling of GSW? Name a player the Golden State Warriors should trade for down in the comment section. Maybe I'll have to make a video on them one day. Maybe throw a trade proposal in there as well. Let me know who that guy is that makes this Golden State team a championship contender by making a trade. But make sure it's realistic. Don't say LeBron. Don't say like trade for LeBron. Don't say trade for Giannis, trade for Luka. Give me somebody who you really think can make a positive impact on this Warriors team. And that'll do it for today's edition of Warriors Today by Chat Sports. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, type me down in the comment section. I want to know who the realest ones are at the channel. And if you're not yet, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so we can prove ourselves to those cronies over at Knicks Now, and we can build the largest Warriors community on YouTube. Never miss a beat. Hit that sub button. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.